Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order at 3:03. And I will start with our land acknowledgement. Before we begin, we believe it's important to open our meeting by acknowledging the indigenous lands that we share. Pasadena City College is a learning community within the indigenous homelands of people who are known as the Gabrielino Band of Mission Indians of the Ishikwanga Village and Quiche Nation. We acknowledge the painful history of genocide and forced removal from this land. We honor all indigenous people, past, present, and future. I'm sorry, everyone, this is really getting me. Okay. We honor all indigenous people, past, present, and future, and their continued contributions to society.
We also honor the legacy of the African diaspora and recognize that this country would not exist without the free enslaved labor of Black people. We share these acknowledgments to raise awareness about histories that are too often erased or forgotten, to recognize our place in this history, and to affirm our commitment to social justice, systemic change, and anti-racism.
Thank you to our parliamentarian. I appreciate that. And now we can move forward. Are there any public comments?
No public comment.
No public comment. We'll move forward. I am looking to the approval of the minutes. I need a motion to approve the minutes. Lee, to approve them? Is there a second? Okay, Margaret is a second. Are there any objections? If there are no objections, we can approve this by unanimous consent. Seeing none, the minutes are approved. Okay, now we have constituency reports. First is PCCFA. Bevel, are you here for PCCFA?
Yes, I am. Great to see everyone. We just came out of our last negotiation session last week. We feel like every time we meet with a district, we're getting closer and closer to a contract. So that's a great sign, I think, in the right direction. Winning the winter per case, obviously, winter has been reinstated for next year, which is a great step as well. We are currently putting together the documentation that faculty will get to fill out. Obviously, we're trying to compensate those who maybe lost a class in the winter session and wasn't able to make up that class in the summer session. You will be compensated, so that formula is being figured out, and you should see some messaging about that from the FA in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Adjunct faculty. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes.
I'm sorry, could I ask a question to Bevel?
Yes.
Actually, I do have a couple of questions about the issue of part-time insurance, healthcare insurance for part-time faculty. I am aware that the district has put forth the proposal of 70-30, where they would cover 70% of premium costs and part-time faculty would cover 30%, correct? Would that be only for part-timers who teach 40% load, or would it be for all part-time faculty?
Yes, I believe the proposal on the table is going to be for the adjuncts who teach 40% of a full-timer's load.
And do you know, or could you get access to what percent of part-timers teach a 40% load on average, so that we can see how many would qualify?
I can't tell you that figure like right now. I could do some research and come back with that information at our next meeting.
Thank you. And also, I'm sure you know that the state of California has put forth finally $200 million for the purpose of covering the costs of health insurance for part-time faculty. And the district can, if they cover our costs, they can get reimbursed up to 100%, as long as they don't make part-timers, this is in the regulations, as long as they don't make part-timers pay more in premiums than full-timers. Have you asked the district why they're not taking advantage of this opportunity?
I don't think we've asked them directly that specific question. I think in the process, obviously it's a complicated process. Institutions who apply, and it's a pool of money that's available for all campuses. It's being done on a first come, first served type of basis. And the problem with 100% coverage is that if we wait and try to get that 100%, the pool of money may no longer be there. So that's why I think the option on the table is probably the best, considering all factors involved.
And as far as I know, the deadline is June 1st, so I'm under the impression that rather than a first come, first served basis, all colleges who meet the June 1st deadline would at that point split the pot. If there are more claims received by the state, then there is money in the pot that could be an issue. But on behalf of the 800 odd part-timers here, most of whom do not have health insurance, would the faculty association be willing to ask the district, why aren't you jumping at this money? You know, there is a possibility that it will run out, but it's renewable every year. The 200 gets renewed every year.
Right.
Any money that does not get used gets returned to the general fund. So if colleges don't take advantage of that money, it'll be really a shame. And I'd really love to see the faculty association push them on this. Like, why aren't they even talking about it? You know, I know they have health insurance, but a lot of people don't, and it's really unfortunate.
Just to try to answer the question, we initially proposed for 100% coverage, right? That was our initial proposal from the FA side. And so just to get that conversation going was difficult, as you may know. So again, we believe that it's really difficult to go from zero coverage to 100% coverage, you know, in one negotiation round. So I think if we start at this level, right, obviously we're trying to get even more coverage than the 70%. We're still negotiating that number. So I'm pretty confident that we can get that down even more to get more coverage for adjunct. But I think after we go through this period and we have the data about how many adjuncts actually would like the option for the healthcare from PCC, it may give us a better opportunity in the future to push for 100% coverage.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, before this gets even more detailed, this is probably something that you should take up at an FA meeting.
Okay.
And I definitely encourage you to do that, because although I think what you're saying is great, we do need to move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for PCCFA? Okay. Adjunct faculty.
Thank you. So for our committee, one of our goals that we established in the fall was that we wanted to encourage and increase participation of part-time faculty in college activities at PCC. And in order to do that, it is important to provide opportunities for part-time faculty to connect with each other and to learn about our committee, the academic senate, and other ways to participate. So we will be hosting an adjunct faculty meet and greet on Thursday, March 23rd from 12 to 1. A save the date and invitation will go out once we have the location confirmed. So that's going to be happening. That's really exciting. The other thing is this Friday, our committee members will be attending the Academic Senate for California Community College's part-time faculty regional meeting. And the topic is equity in the California community system, particularly pertaining to part-time faculty. That's our report.
Are there any questions for adjunct faculty? I had a question. The first part that you read, was that a mission?
No, the goal, that's one of the goals that we established in the fall, was to increase participation and just being connected as adjunct faculty.
Is it possible to get a copy of that those goals so that we can share them with the representatives?
Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, moving forward. Classified Senate regrets that President Audrey Joseph is not feeling good, so she sends her regrets, but she will not be here. Associated Students, I believe our student rep is here. Hello.
Thank you.
You have the floor.
So a couple of events that Associated Students has planned are, one, the Finance Committee of Associated Students, in partnership with the Freeman Center and Lancer Business Organization, is hosting a resume review / headshot event on Tuesday, February 21st, tomorrow, at 12 p.m. at the Mirror Pools. The goal is just to help students who are looking for summer internships or job opportunities to have access to headshots or resume reviews as the time is coming up. The Academic Commission of Associated Students is also hosting a scavenger hunt style event called Midterm Math to Success on March 1st from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Quad. This is to incentivize students to explore the Success Centers on campus, because we've seen how a lot of Success Centers are lacking student engagement, and so we want these students to go ahead and seek these resources that we have on campus. So we will be having a food truck and also some midterm survival goodie bags that'll just include some resources for students. And that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Associated Students? Yes, Jose.
Can you repeat the information about the resume review?
Yeah, so that will be Tuesday, February 21st, tomorrow, at 12 p.m. at the Mirror Pools.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Associated Students?
It's called Scavenger Hunt for Success, is that right?
A midterm map to success.
Midterm what?
Map to success. March 1st. And this could all be found on Lancer Life as well.
Thank you. Okay, I've requested Management Association be here. They have not shown, so I may have to take them off of our agenda as a standing item. Moving forward, President's report. First I would like to, there have been people who have reached out to me last week, and I was unable to get back to them because my daughter has COVID. So I've been home taking care of her, so my apologies for that. I'm still trying to return everyone's email, so I'm asking for some patience. That's one. But on a lighter and better note, I would like to introduce our new admin assistant, Naya. Hi, Naya.
Hello, my name is Nadia Marquez. I am the new admin assistant for Academic Senate and Classified Senate, so I'll be helping them and supporting them in whatever way I can. So I've been here in UCC for about 6 years, and I've worked with different offices on Colorado campus and recently in the CEC Foothill campus. So if you guys have any questions, let me know.
She's all ours now, so thank you. Thank you. Yay. Okay, that's it for my president's report. Do we have a vice president's report? No vice president's report. Secretary's report? No report. Treasurer's report? Yes.
I have our balances here. As you can see, our savings increased by $219.80 for a total of $19,221.16. The difference is the amount of the dues that are being automatically withdrawn from the very small number of faculty who are having those withdrawals taken. So please do consider being one of those faculty. And then our checking account remained static at $791.06. So our total balance is $20,232.02. That concludes my report.
Okay, awesome. Now we have information items, and for the student services update, Dr. Miriam Altunji. Thank you, Dr. Miriam.
Hi, everyone. I tried to get everything just set. Okay, let's start here. My student services report today centers around summer registration, which just opened up. We started our process today by the launching of the summer schedule of classes. It's now available online for everyone to see, so please take a gander. We will be sending out a couple of nudges to faculty. I'll be sending these after we're done with Senate this evening, just in case you have opportunities to share with your students that the summer registration process has begun. This link goes to our summer course like the summer 2022 registration guide. So it'll share with students sort of any of the perks that we have for the summer term and so on. So I would encourage you to share that with your students, because as things change, or if they need any registration resources, we kind of have a one-stop website for them to go to. Registration appointments are also available today. They will be able to view them in Lancer Point. So again, if students have questions for you about how they know when they can register, the earliest group begins on March 20th, and the span of registration runs from March 20th through April 5th. So students have registration appointments all throughout that spectrum of time. But let me also share with you, we also posted a Canvas announcement about summer registration. Again, because a lot of students are in Canvas, just kind of making it easy for them to find the information about registration for summer. We have a direct link to the schedule of classes, again, for convenience, and I'll share a couple things about that. And then the guide to summer is available here. So session 1 is going to kick off on May 15th. We're still at a COVID vaccine requirement until further notice. We will have bookstore credit again at the beginning of the summer, so for the first session. And it will expire at some point before second session begins. So please encourage your students to jump on that as soon as possible. Just keep it on their radar. A lot of students didn't realize that it expires at some point in the spring term. So just make sure that if you have an opportunity to inform them, please let them know. And then we just share with them sort of the definitions of the different modalities that we offer classes in, and so many places to get to the schedule. So we are still doing laptop and calculator loans, and then still having the COVID testing available to them. Guides on how to register are available, and then any support services are also here on this page. So if they need to know how to contact their success coach, if they need help from financial aid. I know a lot of students are going to have registration holds because they haven't paid their fees yet. So let's see if we can help them out with some financial aid resources as well. And then we still have our 24/7 mental health counseling, as well as our counseling that's available here. And then the Lancer Care Center is also available. We continuously update this site as more information becomes available. When we start registering, this is our schedule. One tool that we use very often that I just want to share quickly with you is this open classes only filter. So if students are having a hard time finding classes, because they'll be in class with you, but toward the end of the spring, still trying to navigate this whole registration cycle. So if they're in need of finding open classes, this is just a quick way to filter for that for the summer semester or term. So we have classes that span all over the place, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 6 weeks, I don't know, whatever. You imagine it and it's in the schedule. So please, if you are navigating the schedule with any of the students, please make sure to note the start and end dates of the courses that they're looking at. And that's it for me. If you have any questions.
Yes, Tracy.
Hi, Tracy Bodish, adjunct rep. California has dropped the vaccine mandate for things like schools, colleges, universities, military, and things like that. Why is Pasadena City College still enforcing that requirement?
That is a question for between the FA and the administration to figure out what we're doing with the MOU that was agreed on.
Do you know if they're aware of what California's doing?
Yep.
Because they seem like they're a little bit behind.
Nope, they are
what's going on at
not.
the state
We
level.
collectively need to have that conversation. So, and I know it's happening.
Because this could impact our enrollments, like it
Yes,
has.
totally understand.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any more questions for Dr. Altunji? Okay, then we'll need a motion to extend. Jose, motion to extend 5 minutes, and Lyman is the second. Are there any objections to extending this by 5 minutes? Seeing none, we can approve by unanimous consent. 5 more minutes. Catherine?
Yes, I'm sorry, I missed the part where you said that something expires. What
The
is it?
bookstore voucher. So we have been offering bookstore, $200 bookstore voucher in addition to any other financial aid that students have been receiving. And so it's available to them in Lancer Point. They can get their PIN there. And so it does have a finite amount of time for use. But it will be available to all of our students who, once they register, they should get the PIN, assuming that there are no holds on their record.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Armia?
Does that include gift cards?
No.
There are several groups that have bookstore gift cards for students. Will those expire as well?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I only know about this $200 one. Yep.
Lyman?
So it seems like the registration is a little late in the game. I can't remember last year, but what about summer? Fall? Is that,
We're actually early.
are we?
Yes. Yeah, we're earlier than we normally are for some. Summer is
Brain doesn't
pushed back
work
a
as
little
good.
bit. Our fall registration, so the schedule becomes live on April 3rd, and then a month later kicks off the registration cycle.
Okay. So like right at the end.
So we're inching a little bit earlier.
Okay. And we're in theory aiming towards a year schedule.
I don't know. I don't have that answer.
Are there any other questions about student services update? Okay, thank you so much, Miriam.
Thank you.
And I have not received any emails from Dr. Ramirez, but I have heard that she may be ill. She was going to talk about winter in the calendars. I guess we'll have to table that. Well, we'll wait for our next meeting. I don't know that we have to formally table it. With that being said, Dr. Altunji, I hope you didn't go too far. Yay. We're going to talk about, or we're going to hear about AP 4220 with Dr. Altunji and Dr. Sheila Rose.
Oh, I'm sorry. We don't have
We're not doing
the
stars.
Sharis and the
What
No,
am I
Shari's
looking at?
Yeah.
curriculum and instruction.
I'm sorry. I told you I was having computer issues. I'm sorry.
Is Brennan here for the STARS faculty survey update?
It's the 20th. Okay, I'm in the 21st century again, so yes, we have STARS faculty survey update. Sorry.
No worries.
I really don't have anything against you, I promise.
Laptop, that's it. Cool, thank you. Sweet. Slideshow.
All right. Thanks for having me. I'm Brennan Wallace. I'm on the Sustainability Committee. We have a bunch of different people on the Campus Sustainability Committee. Some faculty, some people in facilities and operations, some people in associated students. Kind of our goals overall is to push sustainability at PCC, work towards being more resilient towards climate change, save energy, save money, serve community. What we are working on, well, what's some of the things we're working on? We want to assess current sustainability efforts on campus, figure out what is the campus doing, how sustainable are we, and then use that to plan future efforts, and then use that to do things, engage staff, students, and the community. The step that we're at in this process is we're working on starting an assessment. It's called the STARS assessment. Sustainability Tracking Assessment and Rating System. This is a tool developed by higher education institution people for higher ed institutions to assess the level of sustainability on those campuses. It assesses sustainability in a bunch of different areas. The overall purpose of it is to, one, create a baseline of where we're at. So figure out what are our sustainable practices? I'll go into the different areas of measurement there. Once we fill out this report for the campus, it is campus-wide, it gives us kind of a prescription for change of like what are the next easiest steps, cheapest steps, and then the harder steps down the line. And then we get recognition for doing this survey. STARS is currently done by all 23 CSUs, all 10 UCs, pretty much every higher education institution that cares about the environment and its students and the employees that work there do STARS, so like it's time to get on board for us. If you want to look at a list of the institutions who have completed it, we'll do that if we have time. What I'm asking for you is there's several sections to this survey. Academics, that's us. Operations, that's more facilities. Richard Luray, facilities, operations, he's on our sustainability committee. Engagement, planning, administration. Engagement, we have associated students on our committee are mostly working in that end. Planning administration, Crystal Koros is on board. Innovation and leadership, that's kind of for extra things, but these are the different credit areas. So curriculum and research is us. The step for faculty to do in this area, like we can do some of this, but we can't do a lot of this stuff. Like this isn't really the realm for faculty. Some of these things are, but this is really our thing. Is give out a survey to assess, simply assess what courses on campus cover sustainability and climate change as a topic. These are the credits, which we could go into given more time. But what I'm asking is to have the approval to send out this survey to all the faculty on campus. Survey's pretty straightforward. It gives faculty name, department, and asks if faculty have any sustainability-focused courses. There are some obvious ones like environmental studies, probably every single course is that. Geography, every single course. But there's others like maybe art classes, English, chemistry, that may very well be in that sustainability-focused category. So simply, by each faculty, yes or no. Do you? If yes, which classes are those? And then sustainability related, this might end up being a whole bunch of different courses that fit in that category. We talk about it a class or two, it's mentioned, we have a project or so, and then how that is related. Sustainability research and scholarship, if so, this requirement can be waived if for community colleges since research is not our primary focus. But if we have that, then it can be included in our credits. Overall, we have these academic categories. This is where we work. So the campus is going to do STARS as an assessment, and we should. This is kind of our part for faculty that we can get started on. Facilities is working on hiring a sustainability manager that will do that from the facilities end. Strategic planning will do their part. So kind of just looking.
Are there any questions regarding the STAR survey? I'll need a motion to extend. I saw Jessica first. Motion to extend by 5 minutes. And Sharice as a second. Are there any objections to approving this by unanimous consent? Seeing none, you have an additional 5 minutes. And Tracy, go ahead.
Could you tell me a little bit about what was the inception of how this sustainability concept came about and how it got distributed to all these UCs and Cal States and now us?
Yeah, good question. So the STARS survey, ASHE is an organization, Association for Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education. For a long time, campuses have been trying to figure out ways to see how green they're doing, as part of the green revolution. How sustainable are they? Hey, we've built solar panels, we have trigen or cogen energy plants, we teach about sustainability, we encourage students to take public transit to campus, those things. And there's several other rating systems that have existed, like the Princeton Review, Sierra Magazine has one, STARS is one of these that academics from a bunch of universities got together to create this. So it's campus people have created this. The other similarly but not really similar sustainability assessments are created by outside entities. So STARS was created by faculty to assess what they're doing and campuses to assess what they're doing. And then really it works as a tool so that you can use it to develop your campus in overall sustainability. Did that answer your question of like where did it come from?
Kind of. Well, can you tell me, is it connected to some political affiliation?
Oh, no, it's a nonprofit. There's a board, there's a steering committee. There are people at kind of every top campus. I know that the CSU is on the steering committee. The UC has representatives on the steering committee. So it's not political. It's really more a tool for educational institutions to assess if they're being resilient and sustainable in climate change.
So it's a nonprofit.
Yeah, it's not political.
Okay, any other questions? Yes, Shannon.
Just a comment. I just want to thank you so much for doing this. I think it's really important, and I'm glad that we're taking action. Thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions? Yes, Danielle.
What was your name again?
Brennan Wallace.
Okay, because on the agenda I have a different name.
Oh, it's Emily
I didn't
email,
think you
but
were
I was
Emily,
going to
but I
talk
don't
the
want
whole
to make any
time.
assumptions. This is why I asked what your
No.
name is.
Emily's not feeling well.
Okay,
Yeah.
Brand. Okay, so I have my notes correct. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I guess different constituency groups have different definitions of what sustainability is. Like if you talk to the Amish, they say no electricity.
Sure.
And that electricity is based on coal and produces a lot of pollution. The computers that we use, the lithium batteries, take 10,000 years to disintegrate. So the more classes you have promoting online and computers affects the planet adversely. And we're sending all of our computers to China, to these.
Nancy, is there a question here?
Well, the thing is, I wanted to know what your definition of sustainability is.
Sure. Yeah. So I start with defining climate change. Except that Earth's climate is changing. We have increased rates of wildfires, severe storms, weather events, heating events, cooling events. We in California are going to see limited access to water. That's going to put a stress on economics, as water has to be a choice between do we drink it, do we use it for food. Sustainability is meant to sustain our lifestyle in this level of comfort. So we're all pretty comfortable. That's sustainability. Resilience is kind of the next step of this, is being resilient towards the negative consequences of climate change, where some areas have severe heating events and people don't have access to air conditioning. That's a socioeconomic problem, but that's also a problem that's caused by the climate. So being resilient to things like that. When we have increased wildfires, they have to shut off the power to certain areas and campuses. How does that affect people's access to air conditioning, access to safety thing, hospitals, transportation? If we're moving to electric cars, that's more stress on the electric grid. So resilience is being limiting the negative effects of climate change. So that's kind of the three important definitions: climate change, sustainability, resilience. The Sustainability Committee is working towards improving sustainability and resilience. The STARS survey tells us how are we doing and what are the easiest, cheapest steps to take first and move on from there.
Yes, Tracy.
I just need to make a comment that what you just explained is your opinion, that's not fact. About everything you said about the state and the water and this or that, those are factual opinions. I know that that's not accurate. So I just want to say, you can go into it and say this is our opinion, but in terms of you saying that that's fact, it's not.
Okay, we need to extend this item by an additional 5 minutes. Mariah, extended by 5 minutes. Is there a second? Sal, second. Are there any objections to extending this item by additional 5 minutes? Seeing none, we can do so by unanimous consent. And my next question was Jessica.
So I'm curious, in your survey, are you asking us to reflect on our own sustainability? Or are you simply
No.
asking questions about what we're doing so that we can get global data?
Yes, the second one. None of this is asking like, do you recycle? Do you do any of it? That's not really important here. It's more asking what is in our curriculum? What do people teach about?
And we don't need to define what we think of as sustainability. It's just simply, yes, we do this, no, we don't do that.
Correct. Yeah. Included in the survey, we would include some definitions given to us by ASHE. That's what they consider this to be sustainability. Now, the survey is kind of the easiest way to do this. If we don't do a survey, this will happen, and I'll end up hiring a couple of students to be interns that go through our catalog one by one and rank what they think each class is sustainable. That many campuses have done it that way. So like we could do that if people don't want to send a survey out, but this is the cheapest and easiest way to assess how sustainable we're being. And it's really, just 6 questions. Do you teach sustainably focused, yes or no? And do you teach sustainably related, yes or no? And if so, to what extent? Yeah.
Okay, next we have Lean.
So the purpose of this discussion is just to see if we want to approve sending the survey out. Is that correct?
That's it, yeah.
So can we just put it to a vote, yes or no?
Well, someone would have to make a motion, but I have a question first. Somebody has a question. Yes, Lyman.
So it's been a couple of years since we got accredited. Can't quite remember how things work. Is there a section on sustainability in the accreditation process? And if not now, will there be, do you think, in the future? It seems like something we have there.
I know that sustainability and climate are in the educational master plan.
I'm not 100% sure, but I believe there is a sustainability portion in the accreditation. I will find out and bring it back to the Senate. Are there any other questions? Yes, Kathleen.
So what would constitute saying that, yes, in my class, I am sustainability focused? Would it be like one lesson where we talked about a project? Would that fall into that category?
Good question.
Project, for example?
Yes, so in the survey it has sustainability focus includes a foundational course with primary or explicit focus on sustainability. Courses with primary and explicit focus on application of sustainability within a field, so agriculture, climate change science, solar panel installation as like career tech. Sustainability related courses incorporate a unit or module on sustainability or climate change, include one or more sustainability focused activities, integrate sustainability issues and concepts throughout the course. So if it's like, one activity, one lecture, 1 week of material, that counts as related. And then if there's more than that, then you probably move towards sustainability focused. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that.
But it is, faculty discretion, the survey.
Any other questions?
Who's funding this? Because nothing is free. Somebody's backing this up.
I'm also going to ask you, Nancy, when you raise your hand, just wait for me to
Oh,
know.
okay, go ahead. So who's
So all of these materials are free from STARS to, I'm not being paid by, I'm being paid by PCCM faculty to be here, just like you all. To fill out the STARS survey and report, you can be a reporter and complete the survey for free. And that just submits our data so that we can be compared against other institutions and see what level are we at, get that kind of report card prescription of like what are the next steps. That's free as it's called a reporter. If you want the national recognition thing, so if we want like an award out of it, then you have to pay, which is a pretty inexpensive price of $1,000 or $1,500, or I don't know what tier we'd fall into. I haven't really worried about that, but that's kind of a pittance compared to other award and ranking systems. So like I'm okay if people don't want to pay for that, fine, we can be a reporter and do all that for free. in the future, I imagine the hiring of data collectors through, that's a facilities position or grant money.
Okay, and we are out of extensions. Although this is an information item, I know Ling was thinking of making a motion
Yes, I'd like to make a motion. To vote whether we should send this out or not.
Okay, so the motion's on the floor to send this, which one? To send it out or not to send it out?
Yeah, to send it out.
To send it out. Is there a sec? Jessica's a second. Are there any objections to approving this by unanimous consent? Okay, with that being said, we will do, I got that. What we will do is a roll call vote. So, Madam Secretary, when you are ready.
Well, this is for, to send it out. So a yes
Either
vote.
a yes to send out or no to not send out.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, Sheila Rose? Yes. Nina Hicks, yes. Tracy Bodish?
No.
Catherine Chang?
Yes.
Bevel Constantine?
Yes.
Shannon Marabi?
Yes.
Mariah Armstead?
Yes.
Salvador Diaz?
Yes.
Nancy Rudson?
No.
Sharice Azar?
Yes.
Mark Sakata?
Yes.
Samuel Narek?
Yeah.
Lindsay Ruiz?
Yes.
Taryn Solberg?
Yes.
Danielle Rapu?
Yes.
Margaret Bowles?
Yes.
Jose Castañon?
Yes.
Lyman Chafee?
Yes.
Rusty Fiore?
Yes.
Jackie Duvall? Yes. Jessica Igo?
Yes.
Ling O'Connor?
Yes.
Don McClure?
Yes.
Rebecca Johansson?
Yes.
Lauren Acker?
Yes.
The yeses have it, so this is approved, and you may send this out to the faculty.
Thank you for your time.
Awesome, thank you so much. Moving on, we have an update from our CNI committee, and Sharice will share with us. Thank you, Sharice.
While that's getting pulled up, I'm here on behalf of our CNI Chair, Sharon Bober. She wasn't able to make it today. I'm counseling alternate officially for Senate, but I'm also the articulation officer and one of the main team members on the CNI committee. So we are presenting our bylaw that we recently approved at a CNI meeting. So we wanted to share that as a informational item. It's on the agenda and we'll have it pulled up in just a second. But basically really defining what our process is for curriculum updates based off of Title V and our AP and BP 4020. Thanks. So if you all have had a chance to take a look at it, let me zoom in a little bit here. Essentially, this first paragraph defines, based off of statewide academic senate and Title V, of what the responsibility of a curriculum committee is. And then we have Section 1 on the curriculum review process. And these are pulled from our AP and EP, so those are defined in the official documents. Then we have a section on new curriculum development. So the main point here is that in order for a department to create new curriculum, whether that's a course or a program, all the existing curriculum needs to be up to date. We have quite a bit of outdated courses and programs, so we want to ensure that before we move forward with new things, we're making sure we're cleaning up the current curriculum that we have. And so the last section is on that process. And the main thing here is kind of how this is going to impact if the curriculum is not updated in the timeline that is defined by Title V, which is 6 years for credit and non-credit courses and 2 years for credit and non-credit CTE courses and programs. That if it's not up to date and processed through that regular review cycle, there is an impact on the class schedule for deans not putting the classes on the schedule, and then beyond that, having the course proposed for deletion to remove from the catalog. So, any questions?
Yes, Catherine.
Can you give me a brief description of what is the difference between the 6-year review and the 2-year review? Like what goes into each one?
So the review is essentially the same. You're looking at the entire course outline or the entire program and narrative and template and updating that. Title V requires CTE programs and courses to be updated every 2 years, and that includes getting information of labor market data and advisory committees, and basically having a more cyclical, every 2-year update on, is this program effective? Is it getting students who completed jobs? Is there a reason to have this program? So they have a much quicker turnaround for their updates because it's still directly tied to the job market. But the other credit and non-credit curriculum that's more academic based, those just have a Title V requirement that the prerequisite has to be reviewed every 6 years. And so reviewing that prerequisite entails reviewing the rest of the course or the program, which includes everything from title to course description to SLOs, objectives, textbooks, everything that goes into the course outline.
Thank you.
Yes, Nancy.
So one of the concerns the faculty members have is the CNI is negotiating faculty contracts by lowering the units. For example, the ESL credit used to teach 3 classes to meet their load. Now linguistics has to teach 5. So it's actually direct dealing and an increase in our workload. So I don't know if the FA needs to look into that, but faculty are getting the short end of the stick through CNI.
Is there a question?
So I was wondering is the union consulted when the units are changed on our contract through CNI?
So any unit changes to the curriculum is based on pedagogy and curriculum and the content being taught, not workload. So it's not a part of this document.
It's a quantitative increase in pay.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Sharice? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Sharice. And can you please extend our thanks to CNI? Yes, they do a lot of good hard work. Okay, now we will move forward to our old business. And Nancy, you are up with the nominations and elections committee.
Good afternoon. As of 10:15 this morning, we had 5 nominations for the executive board. We had 2 for treasurer, and I'm here to accept nominations from the Senate floor. And once I accept those, then the nomination election part is closed. So I'm here to ask if there are any additional nominations for this election, this upcoming election of the executive board.
Okay, seeing none, we can move forward.
Okay.
Was there anything else?
So the next time I come back is March 27th to announce the winners. And the platform statement deadline for the offices is due March 1st. And it must be submitted to Jared Ashcroft. President Gina, we also, our committee received several emails requesting that we investigate the salaries of the current executive board and their reassigned time. And we said that, because they said that there was direct dealing, we have the emails to say it, to show you. And our committee said that that was outside the purview of our committee.
I'm not sure if I need to respond to that.
Okay, and then the second thing is, we request a list of the full-time faculty who can vote directly from HR, and that list comes to us, and this person is badgering us to release the names of the full-time faculty, and we're saying, no, it's out of our purview and out of our authority. We're not going to give that information out. That's the committee, our committee asks for it for a particular purpose of running the election. And we are committed to faculty privacy. We're not going to give that information out. They can go, we referred them to the Dean of Instruction and the Head of Human Resources. And we're being accused of not running a fair election, and everything is above board. We can stand any scrutiny because we use Monkey Survey and it's all above board. So just wanted to let you know, President Gina and the executive board, that we held our line. We consulted with I've consulted with all members of the committee saying that these requests were unethical. Like, I can't force a fellow faculty member to tell me their salary and what percentage they're getting. So,
Nancy, what
just
you
to
can
let you know.
do, you can, if it continues, you can forward those messages to me,
Okay.
and I can take care of it.
We received maybe 3 to 5 regarding this issue, and we're holding our ground because we answer to all the faculty, and we cannot bend the rules to appease one portion of the faculty. No, the committee has always, that's a precedent that will be set, and we're not willing to go there. John Hanley is a member of our committee, and he's on the bylaws, is that right? He's the head of the bylaws. And our committee agreed that these requests were unethical. So we're holding our ground, and just letting you know that was our response. And
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for your report.
Question.
I was just gonna ask, are there questions? I'm sorry. There may be. I saw Shannon and, okay, Shannon.
Sorry, so we're not going to learn today who is running?
the reason is, we divide the work of our committee, so not one person has control. Like, we divide our duties, right? And so the nominations went to Jared Ashcroft, and I teach, and then had to come here. So the last report I got was at 10:15, there were 5 nominations, and there were 2 people running for treasurer. But I don't have the names yet, because tomorrow we'll know who they are. And I also had to report that nobody here was running. So tomorrow we will officially notify the candidates of their platform statements. And everything is run by, like, Monkey Survey, it's all legitimate. So we've been doing this for years, and everything is above board. But we're not willing to go outside the purview of the functions of our committee, which we're being pressured to do. For political reasons, we're not doing it. Whether or not we agree with this person, it's unethical to do what this person is asking.
Okay, and, oh, no more questions? Okay. I will say, because for transparency's sake, I am running for re-election. So that's 1 of 5. I don't know if that helps, but you'll have those names sooner rather than later.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's all out in the open. I mean, we have the timeline that we gave you. We will stick to it. Okay? Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, that was time. I got you, but I'll need a motion to extend. Tracy, for 5 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
Yes.
Catherine, second. Are there any objections to extend this by 5 minutes? Seeing none, we have an additional 5 minutes, and go ahead, Catherine.
Yes, I had a question I almost forgot to ask from a full-time faculty member that says that sometimes he doesn't get certain emails. So he was asking what would happen if he doesn't get the email to vote? Who can he contact?
See, here's the problem we've had. For the last 24 years, Judy Benson has been here to fill in the gaps. And so she was the go-to person for faculty when they didn't receive a ballot, or then she would notify our committee. We used to have print ballots, and
here's what we can do, Nancy. Since we have Nadia, if someone didn't get their information, we can contact Nadia, and Nadia can contact the committee.
Yes. And I believe the count that we received was 404 full-time faculty. I think I remember that number, but it might be an approximation. But it was the 404, which usually we had 432 usually. So I think we're low. But anyway, should they not receive a ballot, then we will send it out. And the voting deadline is Friday, March 24th. And it's just not our purview to give out the names of the full-time faculty to just anybody who asks outside of our committee. We're protecting them. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Seeing no more questions, thank you so much, Nancy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and now Sharice is going to come forward again to talk about BP 4220. This is our second read. So hopefully we can take action.
Hi again. So again, on behalf of Sharon and CNI, this is a BP that we were asked to update. It's, along with most of our BPs, it's a very broad explanation of duties, and then it's defined much better in the APs. This one in particular is tied to multiple APs based off of the topics within. Essentially, the old BP is being proposed to be completely replaced with what's in bold to avoid duplicating what's already defined in Title V. So rather, it just addresses the Title V sections and then defines the different types of procedures in the second little paragraph, which are then defined even further in the relevant APs. Sharon presented this at the last Senate meeting, and I think this version with the previous current copy was not included in the agenda, so we asked for a second read today.
What is your pleasure, senators, where this BP is concerned? Is there a motion? Yes, Lindsay, I will move to approve BP 4220. Okay, is there a second? Margaret, second? Okay, are there any objections to approving this? Seeing none, we can approve this by...
I object.
You object? Okay, well, we'll do it this way then. Those who are in favor of approving this BP signify by saying yay.
Yay.
Those who do not, nay. The yays have it. So this is approved. Thank you so much, Sharice. Okay. Next item is with Dr. Sheila Rose and Dr. Mary Maltunji. This is our second read. We could potentially vote on this, and they are presenting AP 5075.
Okay, so while Miriam pulls up the AP and also some language that we have based on questions, I wanted to give a little bit of background again on where these recommendations are coming from. So I know in our division meeting, we discussed this last week, and there were some comments about how these were suggested changes that were coming from the administration. And I wanted to clarify that the suggestions that we're bringing for revisions to AP 5075 are from a working group linked with the Student Success Committee. So the Student Success Committee is a college council shared governance committee, which has representation from all constituent groups, so faculty, students, classified staff, and administration. And all four of those constituent groups are also represented on the working group. So these are not recommendations from the administration alone. It's from a working group of all four constituents. Okay. Dr. Lopez, I would also suggest that perhaps we need at least one more read on this AP. I know that we received questions since we presented last 2 weeks ago, and that there were a number of questions, at least in my own division meeting, which probably still need to be addressed before the senators can vote. So,
okay, that will be up to the Senate.
Yes, it will.
How would I do this? Okay. I would need a motion to table this for a third read. Is there a motion? Ling, I saw your hand first. Lots of hands. Jose as a second. Okay, are there any objections to tabling this? Yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
Does tabling it now preclude any discussion right now?
No, we can still ask questions.
Can we ask questions?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, an actual vote though.
Right.
Would wait until, because we have a motion on the floor. So, are there any objections to moving the vote until our next meeting? That's what the motion is. Okay, seeing none, we'll table the vote till our next meeting, but absolutely if you have questions. So, are there questions?
Well, I didn't have a question or being a comment. Faculty in my area had a lot of concerns about definition of terms running throughout this document, including cases where they felt like the document was self-contradictory in some of those terms. And we're looking for clarification of a lot of the concepts running through it. One of the major ones would be looking at differences between stopped attending versus inactive, that it felt like those two terms were getting used to mean different things, but it wasn't quite clear what each one meant. So partly they were looking for either definition of those terms or internal consistency of those terms. With the idea of stopped attending or inactive, there was also the question of whether that meant accumulated. So like we're looking at absences. Are we looking at accumulated absences? Or are we looking at a concurrent string of absences? Under our current policy, the language we have is that a student can miss up to 4 class meetings, and then beyond that, instructors may drop them. And my understanding of the current policy is that that 4 absences are cumulative, but some of the ideas about inactive seem to be more like there's a, you know, a random 2-week period where they're just gone, and didn't know if we should be tallying that. The other thing is that a lot of the language here really seemed to be geared toward a response to COVID, and faculty were asking questions about other things that might meet the parameters of this. Things like being summoned for jury duty, things like deaths in the family, especially if they involved foreign travel. Students may be gone for quite a while for that, or even things like their children's schedules changing suddenly, and now they need to be gone in order to accommodate that.
Okay. Do you have, thank you for that, Tim. We appreciate it. So yes,
Lyman?
I move that we extend this by 5.
Jose? Second? Are there any objections? Seeing none, additional 5 minutes. Go ahead, Sheila.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Tim. So in response to the question about what does inactive mean, we are suggesting perhaps a definition of a student becomes inactive when they do not attend an in-person class or do not participate online. And this is in the portion of the AP that is talking about pre-census, which in a 16-week class is that first 2-week period. So that would be the definition there for inactive, is not attending and on an online class not participating at all in the Canvas course. Okay, and then there was some confusion between a definition of absences as being a third or a half and the previous definition, which I think you were referring to, which was the 2 weeks, right? Which is the Title V definition. And so my understanding is that is cumulative and not contiguous.
Yeah, it's cumulative. It's intended to be a collected 2 week. What would equate to 2 weeks of class, right?
And then if I can just address your third point, Tim, which was the language around COVID. So if we could go back to the AP, and there's this section about, yes. So this was actually language that existed in the previous version of the AP. They talked about contagious disease. This is long before COVID. And so we were really revising this in order to reflect what actually is happening. So previously, even though there was language in the AP saying that a student needed to go to the health center to be cleared before they could return, we actually had no processes where that was ever happening on our campus. So we purposely wanted to keep the language vague because COVID isn't necessarily the only communicable disease that we might be dealing with in future. And we didn't want to get too specific about the process for clearing students because we may have, different people in charge who are, hiring a different kind of company to clear. And so that was not meant to be about COVID. That was just meant to cover any instances of communicable diseases that may occur in future.
And I will say with regard to the other points about a student, like circumstances changing, it's not a must drop, it's you're in your judgment is inactive. So at that point, it would really need to be worked out between the student and the faculty member if it's, if it's in their best interest to continue in the course and how you would accommodate those things.
Yes.
And part of the clash they were seeing in that is the matter of judgment versus how inactive is being defined here. That the inactive seemed to be a trigger of, you mentioned Title V, for example, that we haven't codified that you need to do a certain percentage of the work in order to get credit for the course. But then if the language is may, then it's like, well, are we bending Title V?
Well, it's making sure that they're meeting the course outcomes, the course requirements, and what accommodations could be made to make sure that those hours are supplemented.
And there's a real distinction about inactive prior to census and after census. So if a student never attends a class, never participates in the Canvas shell, and we do not drop them by census, then we're kind of taking funding from the state for that student to be enrolled in the course. So the inactive really is something that we have to pay close attention to prior to census. Once the student starts attending, starts participating in the class, there's a lot more decision-making power on the part of the faculty member about whether the student is doing enough to remain in the course.
Yes,
So
Lynn.
I'm hearing that the faculty has freedom.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know there was a list, a running list.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Nancy, and then Lindsay, and then I'll put Link.
Thank you.
Sheila, before there used to be 10 days, it was specifically 10 days. Now you have 2 weeks, which could be legally interpreted as 14 days or 10. So that's ambiguous.
Sorry, Nancy, it's not it's the equivalent of the number of hours within a 2-week period.
Okay.
So it's not a finite number of days. It depends on the course and when your course meets, right? So, and then the prior language is stricken in here, so I don't, so we kept it in just for reference.
Okay, all right, so, okay, just
Yeah, it's defined by however many hours of class meeting time or participation, like in class time.
Okay.
And that determines your calculation.
Motion, yes,
To
Liz.
extend by 5
Motion to
minutes.
extend by 5 minutes. Jose, I saw you first. Second, any objections? Okay, seeing none, we have additional 5 minutes, and Lindsay, you're up.
Just to add to Tim's, because we're talking about the same people, there was one question about the inactive and active participation. One particular online instructor asked about guidance for what counts as active participation for online courses, so she was looking for a little bit more language about online courses, especially short-term ones.
I think we would probably need our distance education committee to provide guidelines for this, right? Because this is a policy, it needs to remain broad. And I think we would rely on the experts in the field of online instruction in order, so we've had that check-in assignment tends to be currently what we're using as a campus, but we would want them and probably the Office of Instruction to create those definitions.
Any other questions? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm hearing because there was some discussion in our division because we have lab classes.
Yes.
And the student missed the beginning where there's instructions on safety and stuff. And then, that whether it's going to be allowed to participate in the lab, it's not safe for them. And would that be count as absence, right? And so also there was some people pointing out that 6-hour labs, 1/3 is 2 hours. So is there freedom that faculty do have, whether they consider absence or not?
Yes, so we have heard from several divisions that this language is inconsistent about this third or half, so we would remove that and leave just number 7, which is the cumulative 2 weeks of absences. So that takes out that issue for labs. And then we also heard feedback about safety, and so we wanted to add this additional language potentially if the Senate agrees that this would be helpful. In cases where safety is a concern, students may be required to complete safety training as a condition for attending the course. These requirements must be stated on the syllabus.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, Jessica.
Lynn presented our problem.
Okay. Any other questions?
Right.
I'm sorry, Mariah.
Okay. So first, I just want to say great job because half the questions my faculty asked, they're like already answered there. But the last thing was, for 6, does the instructor judgment to drop include students who attend but don't do any work, or in an asynchronous course complete so little work that there's not a chance of passing for the class?
So number 6 speaks to the time before census. And in that case, we have to drop if they have just not participated at all, so 0. So like Canvas, you can see if they've even logged in at all, right? So just think of it in that sense, and if there are no-shows between the first day of class and then technically the first day of class is, but I know a lot of students struggle to get in the first day and stuff, so sometimes faculty do wait a couple of days within the census period, and it really is like, because I've seen a lot of this come through with the fraud reports, where it's like a student submitted like a half of an assignment once in the course of like a 2-week period, and I can't get anything out of them from that point on. I would say if they don't respond to any nudges to have some sort of anything else, I would cut them off at that point. Yeah, yeah.
And then after that point, it would be that judgment of whether it's equivalent to 2 weeks in a 16-week of non-participation.
Lauren, and then Catherine.
Can I offer information as the distance ed coordinator in terms of attendance? So basically, logins don't count towards establishing attendance. So in order for you to be considered attending an online class, you must actually submit an assignment. And that is usually true for Zoom classes as well. So even if you have a synchronous component, you have to be submitting. So that's why in terms of the beginning, right, that check and assignment is absolutely required to determine that students are participating. And the attendance and participation are essentially one and the same for online classes. So they have to be submitting assignments, and faculty should have in their course policies how they're defining non-participation, or I guess inactivity, however you do that.
That's great. So we can add a little chunklet of that about submitting assignments for online classes.
That would be very helpful because there's a lot of confusion where people think that
that's great.
logging
Thank you
in
so much.
counts, but logging in does not count.
We'll send you the redraft of this just for an extra pair of eyes on that language
Sure.
for online courses.
I'll review it with Kimberly,
Great.
Shaya, the
Great.
other DE coordinator.
Awesome.
And I have Catherine.
So I know for a lot of us, we are being
Finish your question, then we can.
we're being encouraged to communicate with the student throughout the whole class. You know, kind of nudging them, like you said, you're missing work, are you coming back to class, whatever. If we drop them because of all these reasons, do we need to tell them, okay, I'm gonna drop you, or okay, I dropped you, or can we just drop them? Like, what's the proper thing to do in that case?
I think that's an instructional call, right? So I definitely think it's probably a good practice to let students know that you're considering dropping them, and if you don't hear back from them, but I don't think we're going to put that in a policy at this point.
And Shannon, I'm sorry, I know you had your hand up, but we're out of time on this, and we don't have any more extensions. However, please feel free to email either Sheila or Miriam. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Thank you, everyone, for your feedback. Very helpful.
Okay. We have no new business. We have one person who we need to vote in to a committee seat. I'm looking for a motion to approve this candidate. Lindsay?
Motion to approve the candidate for the subcommittee.
Okay, is there a second? Jessica, I have a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay? Okay, the ayes have it. Awesome. Are there any proposed agenda items? Whoa, okay. Any announcements? Any announcements?
Oh, I have one. This pertains to faculty. The Ujima versus faculty and staff basketball game is Thursday at 12 o'clock. Patterson Gym. And make sure you're there. Some of us root for the students, but a lot of faculty root for the faculty and staff.
So it would be great if you came to support them because they are going to need it. I tell our faculty and staff every year, we get a year older, but the students stay 18. They stay here. It's going to be at the Patterson Gym at noon on Thursday, this Thursday.
Your parliamentarian is playing, just so you know. I'm draining threes like Steph.
Motion to adjourn? Where's our adjourner? Oh, wait, I need rest. Motion to adjourn. Okay, do I have a second? Lee is our second. Meeting adjourned. You got 40 minutes almost. Thank you all very much.